Welcome to Talkin to America. I'm your host, Aaron Zellman. Our guest is Len Savage, prolific firearms designer, president of Historic Arms, an expert witness for firearms issues, and to many Americans, a hero who pursues justice for all gun owners. Our subject today is the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. This interview is an update based on the numerous articles about Len's experience with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms that are posted on the JPFO.org site. We'll be talking about the arrogance and treachery of the U.S. Department of Justice. Len, welcome to Talkin to America. Would you please tell our listeners about your background and Historic Arms?
All right. Well, I designed and built my first gun in the 8th grade in shop class, and have worked as a journeyman machine builder for the better part of my life. And as you know, and most folks should know, that a firearm is just a smaller version of a machine, bigger than a pocket watch and smaller than a car. The principles are the same. My company specializes in research development. We design reproductions of historic firearms. We make sure that they comply with all the U.S. government laws, and we've tried very hard to work with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. My company also specializes in research and development to sort of double-check for other people in the industry. We've become so familiar with the federal laws involving firearms that we kind of give them a pre-check, and sometimes we'll submit their device or firearm for them, mainly because of their fear of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
You know, you've had some problems with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, or actually they've caused you problems. So I guess the question is, when did they start to lean on you and why?
Well, the answer to that is not real simplistic. It began when I started asking questions. You know, what's your procedure? What's the criteria? If I'm going to build this, how can I make sure that it meets your criteria? They didn't like that. When they leaned on me when I asked questions, I shared some information with you and your organization, and they got posted on the Internet. And they really seemed to take offense to that. Offense to the point where the Director of Enforcement Programs and Services of the BATF actually told me I was threatening them by posting my opinions on your website. They really got hostile when I was asked to basically be a technical advisor in the Glover case. And we showed up for that test, and we made a point of videotaping it, as you well know. And that seemed to really set them off, that the truth was starting to creep out there.
The Glover tape that we offer, BATF Fails the Test, shows you in action. Maybe you could tell people a little bit about the Glover case and what your findings were.
The government asserted that Mr. John Glover of North Carolina possessed an illegal machine gun. He was an avid enthusiast and quite the expert marksman. He has many trophies. The guy's a crack shot. John worked as a gunsmith and helped out people from time to time when they had problems with their match guns. What basically happened is the government came in, seized all of his firearms, and tested them. And they asserted that one of his firearms was a machine gun because with a specific ammunition, they were able to get it to slam fire or double tap. And they indicted him. And I was asked to come take a look at the firearm and to view the test firing from the expert that the ATF was sending down for this. We found out real quick on the range that it wasn't doing it all the time. As a matter of fact, out of 12 tests, it would only do it twice, and only with one particular brand of ammunition, and not every time with that brand of ammunition. When he was ejecting his empties, and I saw that there was dents in the primer, which causes the cartridge to ignite, I realized right then and there that a very dangerous situation was going on. And when we disassembled it, we found out that there was a broken and worn part inside the gun that allowed this to happen, that this was a a malfunction, and as a matter of fact, it's a malfunction that occurs regularly with semi-automatic firearms, and it needs to be looked at and repaired by a gunsmith. Some of the more amazing things that this gentleman who claimed to be an expert, said he was from Firearms Technology Branch, we found out that he worked in imports, and I thought he was truly incompetent at the time. And he admitted that he didn't even disassemble the rifle to find out why it was doing what it was doing. But since it had more than one shot go off with the pull of a trigger, it was a machine gun. Well, under that definition, a malfunctioning double-barreled shotgun would be a machine gun. Anyway, everybody needs to get the tape and see this for themselves. The DVD, which I prefer, can take you right to the spots that are just amazing. You just wouldn't think that the U.S. government prosecuted people this way. It's interesting to say the least, and if you own a firearm, get the DVD. Especially if you own a semi-automatic firearm. And especially if you want to see some information you were never meant to see. Oh, exactly. They told me that they had charges pending against me when that DVD was made available through JPFO. It hasn't happened, and it's we didn't violate any law, but it goes right in line with their tendency to threaten people. Can you elaborate a little on the charges that they were telling you they were going to press against you? Well, they wouldn't tell me. They just told me that they had charges pending against me. This was Mr. Sterling Nixon. He's the branch chief of Firearms Technology Branch. I refer to him as FTB for short. FTB is the federal law enforcement agency's laboratory that is responsible for testing every criminal case in every criminal court that involves firearm technology issues. Should people say it's a machine gun or it's been sawed off or it's been modified in some way. These are supposed to be the best of the best of our federal law enforcement. That's interesting. I'm glad you brought up the DVD because this has been very useful to many attorneys who have clients who are being harassed by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. In fact, not just harassed, is putting it mildly. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms is trying to destroy people's lives, especially if they're gun owners. And it seems to be going on with the blessing of the Republican Party. You want to mention about Jim Sensenbrenner? By all means. And in what he's doing, there's a very simple solution to this problem with FTB. And it was introduced by Congressman Gingrey. It was called H.R. 1603, the Fairness in Firearms Testing Act. And basically, it's very short. It's about a paragraph. And it says, these guys, if they're examining a rifle or if they're test firing a rifle, it's got to be video documented. If it's not video documented, it can't be used as evidence. All this funny business that goes on behind closed doors would go away overnight. It would cost literally maybe $1 per case. This would be the cheapest investment our government ever made. But Mr. Sensenbrenner has made a point since last April not to even assign H.R. 1603 to even a subcommittee. So it can't be discussed in the House of Representatives. Congressman Jim Sensenbrenner is chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Do you have an opinion as to why they are opposed to the videotaping?